Hello and welcome to episode 265 of the Wisdom and the Tangents podcast. I'm your host, John Mansfield. We are still in our money management series, and I have, what is this on my face? Oh, I bet it's part of my headphones. My headphones are getting old. I've had these, I think, since we rebranded the podcast to Wisdom and the Tangents. So maybe this Christmas I'll upgrade them, especially if they're flaking little pieces of black leather on my face, and on my shirt. Okay. Speaking of, I know that this is airing in early November, but it's still spooky season. So this is the last one, I promise, for all of y'all who are just like, stop showing me your shirts. This one I got, it's a ghost, a cute little ghost with a butterfly in a strawberry field. It's great. I don't think it has anything to do with any certain movie or like creepy anything, really. It's just a cute little ghost, and I liked it, so I bought it. I saw it on TikTok Shop. If you're interested, I'm sure I could find the link and make like 7 cents off of it. But yeah, we're in the money management series. If you have not listened to the other ones, you don't have to listen to those first. This is not an episodic type deal where we're going to be building off of each other, but it is a good package deal. So you can listen to this episode, and you can listen to last episode 264, where we talked about the cost of doing business and like went through my free cost of doing business calculator, which you can grab at allheartphoto.com/CODB. It's also linked in the show notes. And we put in all of our fixed costs, our variable expenses, and we went through all the things that it costs to actually run your business, including what you're going to pay yourself, what profit you want to bake into there, and then it spits out what you need to be charging per wedding. It's pretty great. So we did that last time, and then part one, which I believe was episode 260, was we talked about our expenses and how to manage your bank accounts, and separating your personal and business, and what high yield savings accounts are. By the way, you can open a free high yield savings account and get an extra $25 put in there whenever you open it, if you sign up through allheartphoto.com/SoFi, because we love SoFi, and high yield savings accounts get you a lot more interest than traditional savings accounts, which are like 0.01% of the money that you have in there, and high yield has a higher yield. So I think currently the market's like 3.6%, which still way better than 0.01%. So yeah, SoFi, go check it out. Also linked in the show notes, also a sponsor of the show. And today, part 3, we are talking about tax deduction categories. I know, fun stuff, but we usually hate taxes because it's boring, and we don't know, and we're like confused and don't really know what to do. It's like, here, just take all of my bank stuff, CPA person, and go through all of this. If you can separate these things out and organize your expenses by these different categories, you're going to save so much time for your CPA to go through. So tax season will be super quick, but also you're not going to have to pay the hourly rate for your CPA to go through all of your expenses and categorize them this way. So I'm going to go over a few of the major ones that are good for photographers to be looking at and keeping track of. A lot of the deductions, if you don't know what deductions are, let's talk about deductions. Because like whenever I think of deductions, I think of like, these are tax write-offs. And if you are like David from Schitt's Creek and just like, it's a tax write-off, like who pays for these?
So that's a write-off.
That's a write-off?
Yeah.
Do you even know what a write-off is?
Yeah, it's when you buy something for your business and the government pays you back for it.
Oh, and who pays for it?
Nobody. You write it off.
Who writes it off?
I don't know. The write-off people.
If that's your inner dialogue right now, buckle in. I've got some help for you. So essentially, to explain that to you and David, is tax deductions, write-offs, as you would call them, are a way to write off a certain number of dollars that you would be paying taxes on. So just for like simple terms, let's say you made $100,000 last year. Congrats, 6 figures. Big deal. You made six figures, $100,000 exactly to the penny, and you bought a new camera system for like $6,000. So you have $6,000 that you can put as a write-off, a deduction on your taxes as new equipment. As doesn't mean that you get $6,000 taken off of the taxes that you owe to the government. And we're talking about America here. I'm in the USA currently. So if you are listening, I know we have a lot of listeners in other countries. If you're listening and just like, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me. There may be some similarities to the UK, Australia, India, wherever you are. But yeah, this is my experience, and this is what we're doing in America currently. So you're not taking the $6,000 off of the 22 to 25-ish% that you owe in taxes. You are deducting that 6,000 from the 100,000, and now you don't owe taxes on 100,000. You owe taxes on 94,000. That's a very simplified way of explaining that. So like, let's say you owe 20% taxes, 20% of 100,000, you owe $20,000 on taxes. Writing off that $6,000 camera, you now don't have to pay the taxes on $6,000, which would be 20% of 6,000 is math. 20% of $6,000 is $1,200. Sounds right. So now you don't have to pay $1,200 of that $20,000. So now your taxes are only $18,800. So that's what write-offs are, David, and everyone else who was curious about that. So we're going to be talking about write-offs and deductions, different categories. There is a great resource for this if you want to dive a little bit deeper into this, by one of our other sponsors of the show, Gusto, who I use for paying my contractors, second shooters, video editors, people who work with me regularly. It's great because you can set up direct deposit. There's no PayPal fees and all of that, Venmo and everything. It's also very legal, because I know like paying contractors through Venmo, you have to set up a business account, and if it's not a business account, you can be paying extra taxes if they catch you on that. But Gusto is great, and they also put all of that together to where they send out my 1099s to my contractors at the end of the year and all that. But Gusto has this list. Also, if you want to set up your Gusto through us, I forget what it is that you get. I believe it is your first month for free when you pay your contractors, and you can go to allheartphoto.com/gusto, and that's also in the show notes. Enough for all these ads. Come on, guys. So I'm going to go through a couple different things that are really great for you to be keeping track of in your expenses throughout the year, to write off for photographers. First thing, advertising and marketing. This is all of your stuff, online ads, Google ads, Meta ads, any social media advertising, sponsored content, even if you have someone that like you're paying to have sponsored content by another person or company, entity, whatever. Print advertising in magazines or newspapers. This is your marketing expenses. So you can write these off. This is a great category to have to keep track of, especially since most of us should be running at least some sort of ads and marketing expenses every year. Another one to keep track of is your auto expenses, and this is everything from your mileage to the fuel that you're putting in your car. There's a couple different ways that you can calculate this. I like to just go off of the standard mileage method, which is where you take the number of miles that you drove in your business and / personal car. And then you just take the number of miles that you drove in the entire year. And then you subtract however many miles you drove for work, going to photo shoots, going to weddings, going to the airport to fly somewhere that's business related, going to the post office to mail things. All of these are business miles, which there's a great app called Mile IQ where you can just like swipe whichever way that you are driving. That doesn't make sense if you don't know the app. You can swipe in the app like left if this is a personal trip, right if it's a business trip, and it will keep track, a tally for you throughout the year of like, okay, these were all the business trips that you went on, these were all the personal ones, and it tracks you with GPS. So what I personally keep track of, and I would encourage you to keep track of, is one, your mileage, the overall mileage. What I typically do is just look at what my odometer is at the beginning of the year, and then what it is at the end. And I just keep track of all of my business mileage. So if I'm driving to a photo shoot, I calculate that round trip each way, and then have all of the miles at the end. You can get, I think the current rate is like 67 cents per mile that you can have taken off of your taxes. So if you drive like 1,000 miles, that's $670 that you don't have to pay taxes on. So keep track of your mileage, keep track of the fuel that you're putting into your car, keep track of any tollways that you go through while you're working, keep track of any parking. You can get reimbursed for parking, or not reimbursed, but have that taken off your taxes. You can also, another category is bank fees. So these are great because this also includes another one. This is usually pretty easy, but business insurance, whatever liability insurance you have, you can write that off. You don't have to pay taxes on the money that you spend on business insurance, which if you do not have liability insurance as a photographer, you definitely need to get some. I believe the PPA, Professional Photographers of America, if you sign up and become a member, which I think is like $129. I'm trying to remember what mine was. Is something like that. You get business liability insurance through that as well. So you don't have to go through a third party to have that all together. Also, like I mentioned earlier, I used Gusto for paying my contractors. So keep track of how much you pay contractors, second photographers, third photographers, content creators, editors, anyone who you are paying on a regular basis for work in your business. Keep track of all of that. If you pay them more than $600 in a year, you have to file 1099s anyway with the federal government. So maybe that's another part of this that we can talk about later. But yeah, keep track of all of that, and then all the money that you spend hiring contractors, you do not have to pay taxes on. Computer tech is a good category, especially as photographers. We're buying new laptops, we're buying desktop computers, a new monitor, we're buying the the spider calibration deal that makes sure that the colors are correct. All of that stuff, computer equipment, you can set up to be like a deduction through depreciation. So you get like a large amount that you are able to deduct from your taxes this year. And then it like slowly goes down over the course of like the next 5 years or something. But it's kind of nice because it like you're able to take those deductions year after year as your stuff gets depreciated. Also similar to that is equipment rentals. So if you're using anyone like borrow lenses to try out a new lens that you want to buy, or yours is in the shop and you need to replace it and you're renting out a new lens or camera body or Godox flash set, whatever it is that you are renting, those can also be set up for deductions. So keep track of any equipment rentals that you have. You can also write off your home office. So if you have like a space like I have here, a designated room for your office where I do a lot of my editing, where I do this podcast, if you have something like that in your house, you can write off that room. It's this is a little bit trickier. This is not really like keeping up with an expense, but it is just like figuring out you pretty much take the dimensions of your room and then whatever percentage that is of the total square footage of your home, you can deduce that from your expenses that you're spending on your house, like utilities and all those kinds of things. It goes more into depth in that Gusto like 34 different tax deductions for self-employed people's list that I'm going through a few of those right now. I'll have that whole thing linked in the show notes too if you want to check that out, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. But it's pretty much like taking your home office square footage, dividing that by the total number of your home square footage, and that is your deductible percentage. So like if you have a 1500 square foot house, if you have a 15,000 square foot house, let's talk. But if you have a 1500 square foot house and your home office is like 300 square feet, it would be 20% of your deductible. 20% would be your deductible percentage. So you can write off things like rent, mortgage, homeowners insurance, utilities, house cleaning, all that kind of stuff. Another good one to keep track of is meals. So if you're paying for meals while you're traveling, if you're buying meals for like, I know sometimes whenever I have to drive a ways for a wedding, like my second shooter and I will just carpool and we'll leave early and hit some lunch on the way out of town because that makes sense because we need to be there at 11 o'clock. So we'll go and grab that. Keep track of those meals. Keep track of any food that, if you host clients in your home office to reveal galleries or albums or anything like that, all of those things, the snacks, the beverages, those are all deductible. I believe it's like different percentages. I think for anyone who works in your business, like buying those meals on the way to or after a wedding, those are going to be 50% that you can deduct from your taxes. But yeah, it goes into a lot more detail in that link from Gusto. Another major one that I pay a lot of money on, and it is quite frankly pretty sad at the end of the year whenever I'm looking at the grand total of merchant fees. So like all the credit card fees. And I know that this is like baked into my prices, and I have built my pricing to cover these 3% charges whenever someone pays with a credit card instead of mailing me a stack of cash. But it is really hard seeing thousands of dollars going to credit card fees every year. But these are deductible, so that's a plus. Usually, if you're using someone like Stripe or Square, they will have the complete merchant fee total for you at the end of the year that you can put into your taxes. You don't really have to keep track of this, but if you are using a bunch of different places, options for people, then you may have to take all of those and add them together at the end of the year. And we talked about equipment like, the new camera, lens, all that kind of stuff. Earlier, you can also deduct office supplies like a printer and paper. And, I think you can even deduct like a water cooler if you need a water cooler for your office. But like those kinds of little things here and there, like I have like postcards and stuff that I send to my couples, and that's all office supplies that you can deduce from there. Also, SD cards. I just have one here because they're everywhere. SD cards, you can also, that's part of your equipment that you can write off. Another one is shipping costs. If you're sending albums, you're sending out client gifts, if you're sending out really anything business related, you can write off all of your shipping costs. So keep track of all of that, your shipping materials, your bubble wrap. I remembered what that was called that's a callback to last episode where I could not remember what it was. And actually, nope, here we go. I got some right here. Ooh, ASMR. I think that's probably the worst ASMR. Isn't it supposed to be like really soft? It's just loud popping. But bubble wrap, you can also write off. Those are your shipping expenses. Another big one is software. So your Adobe membership, your like cloud software, your CRM, your photo delivery, pick time. That's all software that you can write off. So keep track of how much you're spending on all of that every year. And then another one is your travel. We kind of already talked about like driving around in your car, but traveling out of state or far away, you can write off your airfare. You can actually write off your like extra baggage fees if you're doing a big photo shoot, like you're traveling for a wedding and you need to send a couple of bags to the undercarriage of the plane. You can write off those extra bags. You can write off hotels, Airbnb, car rental, taxis, Uber, Lyft, all that kind of stuff. And also 50% of all of your meals while you're traveling. So keep track of all that too. I like to do a little splurge, nothing crazy, but like a little splurge, especially if I'm going somewhere that's known for something. Like whenever I went to Chicago last year, I was like, I am going to try, what is it? Giardino's, I think. I'm going to try like the pizza of Chicago, and don't come at me, people of Chicago who are just like, Giardino's is garbage. You need to try this other place. Actually, do come at me. Shoot me a DM, because next time I go there, I will try that other place. It was delicious. But yeah, you can write off 50% of those. And lastly, your website expenses. This is anything from website hosting to like your domain name that you have to pay for every few years or so, to like plugins, templates, themes for your website, subscriptions to like Squarespace or Showit, Wix, all of that is all tax deductible. Also, if you use any stock photography, I know a lot of y'all are just like, no, I'm just going to take my own photos. But if you do buy anything from like iStock or whatever, then you can also write off that. But yeah, those are like the main categories that I would suggest you keep track of. I will, again, have that link to the full 30 plus different categories that's in that Gusto article. And you can read through and just see which ones you think would apply to your business the most and be the most helpful. And this will help you to not have to pay so much in taxes and really pay the appropriate amount in taxes, because you should not be paying taxes on money that you spent on a Uber in New York City. You don't have to do that. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I will have a link to that article in Gusto. I will also have a link to Gusto if you want to sign up to use them to pay your contractors. I'll have that link to not Show It. Oh, sure. I'll throw a link into Show It too. I think I have an affiliate link if anyone's like, I'm looking for a new website hosting platform. I love Show It, by the way. Both the podcast and my personal photography business page are on the Show It platform. And I will have a link to Sofi for the high yield savings account, and a link to the free cost of doing business calculator. We've got all the links for you in today's episode. So come back next time. We're going to be wrapping up this series with part 4, which is going to be all about credit cards, using credit and debit cards for your business, as well as some different investments that you can make with your money to have your money working for you instead of just sitting there waiting to be spent. If you have any questions about managing your money, or if you have anything that you would like me to maybe do a little bonus episode after all of this, if you're just like, hey, I want you to talk about this, shoot me a DM. We're on Instagram at wit.pod, WITT.pod. We're on YouTube, so you can check this out on video at Wisdom in the Tangents on YouTube. We just hit 100 subscribers over there, so thank you for everyone who is watching over there, and welcome to everyone who is running to YouTube currently to subscribe and see my face on video, as well as the ghostly t-shirt that I was wearing. But until next episode, y'all keep creating and keep making the world a better place. Bye, y'all.